My name is Andy Brown. I fish out of Appy Adventure on Eastport Peninsula. I've been fishing 41 years. Right now, I fish mostly cod, crab, and lobster. Right? I've never had no close calls in my life fishing, only that incident. A pretty typical day. Left house 5 o'clock in the morning. I was going flat out, of course, and this little boat that I was in, she was only 17 feet, and she had this porpoising motion when she was going flat out with one person aboard. To my right was a shoal, so I was stood up, bent over, with one hand on the trollo, counting out herring, right? Saying to myself, when I get past that shoal, now I'll turn and go up the bay and all my lobster spots. And so this is the situation, this is the position I was in, which is fairly important because if I was probably sat down, this wouldn't have happened. When I turned the boat to the right, I guess this porpoising motion, I must have turned her when she was dipping. So she made an abrupt right, and I forgot to turn. I went on straight out of the boat, slow, right? 6 o'clock in the morning, lack of fog, first part of May. So the water wasn't very warm, right? So there I was dressed in suit of rubber clothes, coveralls, wool sweater, green boots on with felts, rubber gloves, full regalia, right? So when I got me eatable water, there was the boat on a curve away from me, just dodging the line because I guess the last thing I done when I left the boat, because I had hold to the handle, was turn the engine, I guess, and took the throttle off it, right? I guess, this all happened like that, right? So I was treading water there, and I sized it up, and I said, well, that boat is not going to come to me now. She keeps turning like she is, right? So I said, I better swim along a little bit, right? So I swam so far, but I misjudged her. So when she passed by me, I just touched the side of her with my arm, right? Taps of my fingers, and she went on again, eh? So I had to wait till she come back the second time. So this time I watched because I could see her first wake, and I knew like she was inside of the first wake. So I said, well, she's not going to be that far away from me this time. So I swam along another little bit, and she came right to me, eh? And I caught hold to the gunnels, and of course she hauled me underwater because she was probably going 3 knots or something. So I got myself straightened out of that, and then I hand over my hand back to the gunnels, to the boat, till I got back where the engine was to. And she had this little red emergency stop, that you're supposed to hook onto yourself. And so I reached my hand in through the counter and just plucked that little thing off, stopped the engine, right? So now I had the boat. So now the task was getting aboard of her. Right? So I tried 3 times to put my foot on the engine and arm myself. I figured this was going to be easy now, just push up with your foot, all with your arms, and it'll just slide in there, right? But it didn't work. I couldn't get it to work, and I tell you the truth, I just about killed myself at it because what I was doing when I stopped and figured it out, I was pushing sideways with my leg and trying to arm myself forward with my arms. So I was sort of fighting against myself, right? So then I stopped and I thought and tried to figure out somehow else, and then I told you I wasn't that far from land, so I said, well, perhaps I could swim to land. But then I wasn't wearing a life jacket, so I didn't know for sure if I was going to make it there. And if I did, I had to get on an island. So I knew that hypothermia was setting in because I could feel the strength coming out of my arms and my legs, right? So then I had the plan that perhaps I could swim with the boat. Perhaps I could push the boat because it was flat white cam but black of fog. Eh? Probably I could push the boat towards the island. So I had a wall like that, and I started to get tired and strength started going out of my legs. So I said, well, that's not going to work. So then I had a strong urge to leave the boat again because, this land, I could see this land, and if you got on land, the only thing was keeping me there was, like I said, that I never had a life jacket on, and I was going to freeze to death when I got ashore, if I got ashore. So then she had a little lobster boom on her up from the gunnels for on lobster traps, So I thought to myself, well, if I add all to the top of that boom, with the weight of my body now, soaking wet, with all this clothes on, I might be able to pull her down far enough for me to roll myself in. So that's what I done. I got up to where the boom was to, and I sort of backed my hands and I shoved myself right down in the water just so my mouth wasn't on the water. And then I reversed myself and whatever was in me, I hauled. And when I got up far enough that I know I wasn't going no farther, I grabbed the top of the boom with one hand, then I grabbed it with the other. And I let myself just fall back, right? Just let gravity do it. And the boat come right gunnels to water because I had leverage on her. So I got me right knee in, across there. So then I could twist with my arms and twist with my leg, and I rolled myself aboard. And that's how I done it. But that was my last kick at the cat because I'll tell you I was losing strength fast down there. So then when I got aboard, I couldn't get the engine to start because when I, in the panic I guess, when I took that little safety machine off, instead of lodging it down the boat, I must have threw it behind me. So now I had to hold up this little button to get back to the wharf, right? So that was a bit of a going on. But, like I told you before, there's only two things that saved me that day, and one was that I didn't panic, and I don't know why, but I didn't, and I knew how to swim. Now, I wasn't a marathon swimmer, but I knew how to keep myself afloat, and the other thing I had going for me was it was flat, white calm, so I never had to deal with lot flopping in my face or nothing like that, and when you fall overboard, sometimes it's not going to be ideal conditions, right? It's not something nice, it puts a lot of things through your mind, eh? You think about your family, like the kids and your wife and, what you got going on in life, that definitely, it don't leave you just like that, So if you got a life jacket on, you're going to stay afloat anyhow, right? Whether you know how to swim or not, so you should have your flares aboard your boat. It should be all up to date, and your anchors and your ropes and whatever transport kind of list is, you should always have all that with you. It could save your life, right? You don't think about it that way a lot of times, but you never know.